Hey guys, it's Melissa. In this video, we are going to go over the right side toolbar in Silhouette Studio V5. Now, Silhouette Studio V5 is available. It is the quote-unquote current version of the software. However, as of now, and it is February of 2026, unless you have a Cameo 5 Alpha or a Cameo Pro MK, I would not recommend that you're using Silhouette Studio V5. There is absolutely no reason for you to be on this software and no reason for you not to be using a version of V4, which is much more stable and is able to support all of the machines except the two that I just mentioned, the Cameo 5 Alpha and the Cameo 5 and the Cameo Pro, the MK. Okay, so if you are using V5, because you have to, we are going to go over what is going on over here on the right side toolbar. There have been some changes, and so if you are looking at my older videos, they are of V4, then you might be wondering, well, these don't align. Okay, no worries. Most of them are pretty much the same. They, for whatever reason, changed the icons. They changed the order. They changed a few things. So I'm just going to point that out. So before we get started, I did want to just show you that up here, you have this option for starter mode. So starter mode, when it is on, to the right, it is only going to show you what Silhouette deems beginner friendly or starter. Okay, these are basically the essential tools. If you want to put it on, if you want to turn starter mode off, you're going to have more options. All the options are there in starter mode, it's just they're not visible. My recommendation, because you're not going to use the majority of these icons down below, is to keep starter mode off. However, we are going to focus on this top half right now, okay? Basically, from the specialty tools panel, embossing, which 95% of people are not going to use, and down, we are not going to talk about today. We are going to talk about from the sketch tool up. Okay, and these are the tools 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 that you are going to be using most regularly. Now, in another video next month, I will go over the left side toolbar, then we will do a separate video on the top. We will then go back and do these more advanced tools, and then we are going to get into some of these other options that we have. But for right now, we are going to focus on this little section here from, where did it go? I turned it off. Where'd it go? Here, up. Okay? I don't know why this is like this. We're not going to do font creation. We are going to go from here down to here. You saw it just changed modes. I don't know why. Okay. First tab on the right is the page setup panel. This panel looks a little different than in Silhouette Studio V4, so there's just a couple of things that I wanted to point out. First of all, this is where you are going to set your machine. My suggestion is to keep this on auto unless you don't have a machine connected. All right. And then the second thing that you want to make sure, specifically if you are using print and cut, is that your media size is set to printer. The number one issue with print and cut is users selecting letter. You do not want to select letter when doing print and cut. You want to select printer. Okay. Second tab here in the page setup is where you are going to do things like adding the grid. Do you want all these cut lines on here? If you are getting jumping where you're not able to smoothly move a design, let me just throw a design in here. If you're not able to smoothly move a design around, you may have snap to grid on. Okay, so see how I can't move it in every position? That might be snap to grid. Okay, so if you're wondering like where I'm missing my ruler, rulers are here as well. Okay, so all of that is here. The one main thing that is different from this panel from V4 is that the registration marks have moved out to their own panel. Okay, so that is here and we will get down to it. In V4, this registration tab is here in the page setup, which in my opinion makes sense. Okay, secondly, we have the fill panel. This is where you are going to be able to fill with a color, a gradient, or a pattern. okay? So not only are the built-in patterns here, but so are your custom patterns that you've added, all right? And I have videos on how to do that. All of the pattern options are also here: panning, zooming, adjusting, rotating, everything. This is your fill panel, okay? Next tool is the line style. So not only is line style going to be line color, okay, so if you want to change the color of the line, let's say you want the line to be black and you also need the line to be thicker, you can control that from line style. Now the shortcut to that is up here, right here. You've got line color and also line style perforated, you can see. But that is what this third tab is as well, all right? So you can change various things about this. If you want to have, for whatever reason, your line basically skewed, you can do all of that. Now, let's say we just want to do a perforated line. You can do that here as well, okay? All different types of things. Next, whoops, is trace. Still a butterfly, just a different type of butterfly. So if you need to trace, this is where you are going to go. Let me just pull a design in here so that I can show you, so that we can trace really quickly. And whoa. So this is a bug in Silhouette Studio V5 where the PNGs come in extremely large. If you watch the other new video of them, one of the new videos that I had, I pulled the A into V4. It did not come in that large, so just FYI. So this is where you are going to trace. If you need to trace your design to create cut lines, all right, you're going to be able to do all of your tracing options here, okay? And if you want to trace by color, that is the second tab. And if you need to do magnet trace, that is also available. This tab has not changed much from V4, but that's where it is. Alignment, that or transform. So this tool has a lot of things grouped under it, okay? This is the transform panel. I'm just going to put multiple in here so you can kind of see a couple of the things that it's going to do. If you want to align your designs vertically, if you want them to be aligned horizontally, if you want to scale them, okay? Meaning like they should shift, scale as size, excuse me, for whatever reason it's, you have to click apply, sorry. So if I click apply, it's going to blow way up. You also have the ability to rotate, okay? You also have the ability to move. So this is move by distance. So this is really a beneficial tool if you are making multiple, if you want to add multiple or duplicates on the same work area, you can do move. It's like replicate. And then you've also got this shear. All right, so shear is just like that. Okay, that again, this tool didn't change very much. Now this next tool is replicate. So replicate is exactly what replicate says. You want to duplicate it to the side, you can. You want to duplicate 3, 4 down, you can. You want to fill a page, you can. If you want to do advanced copies of replicating, I have other videos on that, but that is there as well. And then same with object to path. Again, I'm not even going to attempt to explain object to path in this video because I have a whole separate video on that tool, but that tool is there. Works the same way in Silhouette Studio V5 as it does in V4. The next tool is the text style panel. This is just where you are going to select the type of text that you're going to use. So if you want to type out, you know, your name and you want to find a font for it, you can go ahead and do that. It's all right there. Okay, glyphs panel, all here. And this is going to be your spell check. Take it or leave it. Again, this panel hasn't changed much from V4. Next is where we have the new registration panel. I don't honestly know why or what the need was to pull this out separately. You always have to use it with page setup, so I don't know why they did this. But you can turn on your registration marks here. You can also have more settings. I would not suggest that you move any of these unless you are extremely familiar and comfortable with print and cut, okay? But this is where they all are. This panel works the same way in V5 as it does in V4. It's just found in a different place. So again, in V4, it's going to be found under the page setup panel. And then this is barcode, which is an advanced feature. If you want to put barcode, it allows you to basically print and cut without having to have the machine necessarily connected and looking for every single registration mark. Okay. All right. Continuing down the list, we've got modify. Modify panel is probably the one that confuses people the most because of all of the different options that it has. Most of these things, specifically weld, I would say, and compound path, can be found by doing a right click. All right, but they are all here. So welding, again, this panel is not any different than what you would find in Silhouette Studio V4. So if you're wondering, like, what do all of these individual things do, I have other videos on that. Compound path, again, if you're wondering, like, what is a compound path? I don't even understand what they are. Why would I even need this panel? Again, a complex technique and a complex thing to understand, but I have a specific video so that you can understand what compound paths are. But this is where you're going to be able to do multiple things like subtracting, what those do. If you want to intersect, what that does. I like to suggest that if you're not sure, you do something like I'm doing here, where you just take a bunch of shapes, click each one to see kind of what it does to give yourself an idea. Okay. Again, that panel is not any different than what's in V4. So if you see that, it's just, that's what it is. Next, offset, very useful tool. I actually have another video that was released this same month for focusing on the offset. You can do both external offset, looks a little bit different than what it does in V4. You can also do an internal offset, okay, which pulls the offset to the inside. This is good for creating bleeds if you are doing print and cut and you don't want to get a white edge. You can use an internal offset. Okay, so that tool is there as well. And then the last tool that we are going to look at is the sketch and stipple tool. This is if you want to do a sketch fill. So if you are using sketch pens and you want to fill your design with color, you basically want it to be sketched completely in. This is where you're going to make all of those controls. Okay, so this sketch pen and stipple tool is a little bit different than in V4, but everything is still here. So this is stipple, obviously, and this is sketch. Again, I have separate videos on this stuff, so I'm not going to get too much into it. The point of this video is to just name and show you what each of these tools is named, what it does, and what the primary focus is. I will tell you, again, from here on up are the tools, and I would actually say from offset on up, are the tools that you are going to be using 90% of the time. Okay, everything below that is pretty much more advanced. Rhinestone, puzzle, pop-up, create your own font, pick, scan. Image effect might be the only one that I would say that you should be using and that is often overlooked. Again, I will go over that in another video specifically about V5, but I have several videos on image effects and how helpful this tool is when you want to change the color of something like a PNG. Okay, so it's really, really effective for things like that. So if you're using V5, this is a great place to start.